Yo, this is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And our sponsors at Alpha Claims and Hire Birmingham, the leading and best accident management company. Get a replacement car anywhere in 1 hour. This second story of the day, it's about a murder of a woman. She was an Australian woman. She'd moved to Britain. She'd been in a relationship with Roderick White, who was 37 years old, for up to a decade. The court described her murder as like a scene from the film Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. This film, to many of you, would not know it. It's from the 60s. It was like a pioneer horror film, and it's a very rememberable scene from the film. Initially, it was reported as this. An Australian woman was found dead in an East London flat, and a British graphic designer is accused of her murder. Amy Parsons, rest in peace, was 35 and originally from Melbourne. She was discovered by police on the 5th floor apartment in the Whitechapel flat at 1:30 in the daytime, and within a few hours, her partner was charged with her murder. He'd actually attempted to try and kill himself by walking into the Thames River, but this wasn't successful, and he actually come back out, and somebody advised him to go and hand himself in. Days before the murder, there was happily sharing an Easter meal and bottles of white wine with Rod's family. They had planned a long-awaited wedding. Despite reports the relationship had been under strain, there was no sign anything was wrong between the couple, who enjoyed the British weather just a week before the murder. Miss Parsons returned to Melbourne in January to celebrate her engagement to him, and she catched up with old friends and her mother and father. She started work for Old Mutual as an executive assistant, working for the same role that she did for a company in Australia called AXA. The families of both of them were very close. They used to comment on each other's Facebook posts, etc. And I do believe a lot of pressure is put on people in relationships to make sure that they're a success, especially when both families are involved and they have some sort of... In 2011, they travelled around the world. They went to Hong Kong, and Rodney White indulged in photography. He had a love of photography. Everybody in both families got along very well. Rod was described as very helpful by a friend of the family. He was like a bit of a handyman. The same person said that they never really spoke to him, but any time that they needed his help, he would always be there. And I'm sure the family was wondering what was going on, like what made this actually happen. And during the court case, he's been found guilty now of her murder, but during the court case, a few things were revealed. This is reading from the court papers. He says that Roderick's girlfriend of 10 years had been cheating on him, so they was planning to get married. They'd gone across the world, met their families, and now he was about to find out that she'd been having an affair with somebody at work. Roderick also had a secret as well. Roderick was a cross-dresser, meaning that he used to wear women's clothes. But just before the murder had occurred, she had told him that he needed to stop doing this. She told him he was finished unless he stopped wearing women's clothes. He attacked her as she showered with a metal chin-up bar, so a pull-up bar. He told Snaresbrook Crown Court, "I remember the action of hitting her. I remember her slipping down into the bath. I don't remember the blood. I don't remember the sounds," he said. "I remember hitting her when she was still upright." He also said for some bizarre reason that he hates the sight of blood. Miss Parsons had become tired of his fetish as dressing up as a woman. He actually did it when they was having sex too, so he wanted to do it in the bedroom. And she explained to friends that she'd been unable to orgasm due to this actual fetish she'd developed. So she began to see a colleague at work called James Saunders. She decided to leave Mr. White after her feelings for her colleague had grown. The last message she sent was a love heart to her new boyfriend. He left her in a pool of blood and walked towards the Thames, where he made an apparent suicide attempt, but was unable to go through with it. A stranger persuaded him to go to police officers. He said, "I'm an effing murderer." At their apartment in Whitechapel, officers found Miss Parsons still lying in the bath. The killer, who had worked as a graphic designer for the Royal Opera House, admitted manslaughter, but a jury found him guilty of murder. He claimed he lost control when she told him that she would abort his child if she became pregnant, and that her new lover knows how to handle her. Dressed in a smart blue suit, he stared ahead and showed no trace of emotion as the verdict was delivered. Deacon White told the jurors he was abused by a family member who made him wear women's clothes when he was a little boy. He had a distinct memory of dressing up as a woman in primary school when he was about 10 years old. The killer regularly wore women's clothes during his relationship with Miss Parsons. It was sort of something I did, not all the time, but I did do it when we had sex sometimes. He said sometimes she would really embrace it, and other times she would get really upset. And then when she grew tired of it and started the affair, and he wasn't working either at the time, she was actually putting him up in this £600,000 house. She was paying all the bills. He was contributing nothing. He was cross-dressing, so he wasn't actually meeting up to her standards. But due to whatever reason, she felt like she had to marry this guy. The evidence suggested he was very reliant on her. He'd been in a lot of depression and chosen not to take medication. Dependency on her was both emotional and financial. The man that she had an affair with, James Saunders, said Amy and I had a rapport. It was like banter, relationship kind of thing. I remember thinking if she wasn't in a relationship, I would pursue her and she would be the right person I knew that I wanted to be with. They continued flirting until they had sex on the 14th of April. Less than 2 weeks later, Miss Parsons would be dead. Deacon White confronted her after reading WhatsApp messages from the pair. Miss Parsons messaged saying that Rod had asked if they'd slept together, and she said no. On April the 16th, she admitted to the affair and told her new lover in a text message that he knows everything and he's been stalking my profile and he saw that I was online. And as I said before, for whatever reason, she carried on in that relationship, maybe feeling trapped, maybe feeling obliged, and you should never do that, because at the end of the day, things can just reach a point where it explodes. And this is clearly what happened in this situation. So I want to pay my respects to the family of Amy Parsons, both in the UK and in Australia. And I'll definitely keep you updated on what his sentence is. I'm imagining he's going to get a very long time. So I really appreciate you joining me today. Please don't forget to leave a comment, check out the other videos, and follow us online as well at Scarcity Studios. Thank you.